Well, g'day, John O'Brake here. And back at the beginning of the year, I was doing some work up in Chicago and was hanging out with a guy who's become a very good friend of mine, who's a sales coach with a large corporate here in America. And so, of course, you're in Chicago. It was pretty cold and rainy. And we set up in a car park opposite the Chicago Cubs field and had a discussion. Well, what else do we talk about? We talked about sales and how sales needs to be more consultative. It needs to be more research-based. It needs to understand the client better. And that may seem like a no-brainer, but it's amazing how much of sales is still the show up and throw up mentality. So I'm going to cut over to this video. I think it's really pertinent for entrepreneurs like yourself who are looking to pitch their business, who want to maybe come up with a better way of selling and understanding their market, and realizing that the sales process is about a relationship. It's not just about what I can tell you and what it's going to mean for you. So I really encourage you to have a good listen to this. It's about 12 minutes long. Bob is a very wise man and a great coach. And this is our musings on a Sunday afternoon in Chicago back in March. Enjoy. Well, g'day, it's John O'Brake here.
Bob Pettke, hi.
And we're standing outside. Where are we?
Well, we're in the Windy City, and we are standing outside the world-famous Wrigley Field, where the home of the Chicago Cubs.
With a train going past.
With a train going past. That's Chicago.
That's Chicago for you. Yeah, we're in Chicago, and it's bloody freezing. And we're going to talk a bit about great questioning around the sales process in particular, but just great questioning in general,
Okay.
and being consultative in the way that you pitch yourself. So just tell us a bit about yourself first and why you're part of this video.
Oh, absolutely. A little bit about myself is I work as a business coach, and I work with a team of business development people, otherwise known as sales reps, and for Employbridge. And I work with them on how to sell, how to be competitive in their selling, and how to build relationships and work in a consultative manner when it comes to developing relationships and the overall approach on landing new business.
That's cool. And so why did we pick this as a good spot?
Right here, first of all, you are in Chicago, so this is a place where everybody knows it's a great place. It's a landmark. Yeah. It really is. And right now, although not a Cub fan, I can speak for more than half of Chicago. The Chicago Cubs right now feel primed and ready to have one of the most competitive teams in Major League Baseball. And it's been over 100 years since they brought home a world championship for their fans. Yeah. And so, right now they feel primed, like they are more competitive now based on some off-season moves and some management things that they've done. Where they feel primed and ready to bring that championship home. So really, it's about competition.
So this whole competitive journey, how does that correlate to what we do?
Well, in the industry that I work with, or anybody who's got to bring in new business, the big thing that we're working with right now is the competition and how to differentiate yourself from our competitors. And I believe through experience that some of the things that help you do that is to be a consultative or to follow the consultative selling process.
Yeah. Yeah, so tell us a bit about that.
Really the consultative selling process is more about coming in and building a relationship with your clients and your prospects. It's a little bit different than a lot of aggressive selling tactics that many people use, where, for lack of a better term, people show up and throw up, meaning they come in and they just throw a whole bunch of information on the desk of their prospect. Instead, what they do is they come in and usually it's probably a two-session process where they got me there.
They did. We're good.
My kind of town, Chicago, right? But consultative selling at its very best is coming in and building a relationship with your prospects. And really, it's a two-part selling process. It involves doing discovery, where you're actually coming in, and once you've been able to land a meeting with somebody, to really kind of uncover and discover some of the things that your client or your potential business partner is struggling with, and how you can be a partner, a business partner, have a partnership, and be somebody who's seen as a consultant as opposed to a salesperson.
So this will probably be seen by a lot of people in the smaller business space. So where the guy running the business is the guy selling the product, is the guy doing the accounts, is the guy, well, maybe not that bad, but smaller businesses where there is a guy still very intimately involved who owns it and is at the top of the business.
Okay.
So how does this sort of process become important to them?
Well, there's a couple things that you've said that really kind of hit home right away. The first thing is that if you are that person who's wearing many hats in your business, you are able to go ahead and represent yourself as, the direct connection. You're going to have the beginning, the middle, and the end with that person. But when it comes to being a consultant, being able to go in and to discover and build that hands-on relationship with somebody and be able to understand specifically what their issues are. Through this process, you're able to do a discovery session where you basically, what it looks like, Jonathan, is you come in and you plant yourself down and you ask all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
You find out what the pains are, you find out what the needs are, and that whole first session of a discovery session is really about you finding out what the problems are. It's not so much a chance where you're going to go ahead and offer your solutions.
And this is really interesting because I've worked a lot with smaller business in terms of coaching them around, and even you just go and look at the average website these days, right? 90% of the website is what we do and who we are, not let's find out about you, let's connect with you as the customer, let's put the customer at the center of the story.
Right.
And there's a whole bunch of stuff out there now called customer-centric stories and putting the hero, which is your customer, at the center of your story, all that sort of thing. You would have heard all that language. And so this is an interesting process because, you work in a major corporation, but we're talking to guys who have to do this themselves. And so that whole consultative, so it's taking the time to listen, it's taking the time to understand who you talk. We all talk about, we've got to understand our customers, but a lot of these guys don't take that time. Yeah. And so what sort of tips would you give them? What a couple of keys you get them to help them discover their customer better so they can pitch to them better?
Some of the very basic things are just making sure that you're doing the basic steps like listening, and building the relationship and repeating some of the same things that your customer says. Being somebody who would be the jack of all trades or the small business person, it's really important for them to get a handle and gain a trust and a rapport with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that even the bigger corporations are trying to do. Is they're trying to say, we're a big corporation, but we're going to treat you like we're a small company. We're going to give you a lot of touch and a lot of contact and a lot of feel to it.
I hear the think globally, act locally thing quite a lot in business these days. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of being, if you're in a situation like that and you're trying to go ahead and build your business, is you have that advantage because you have that one-on-one connection.
But that flexibility,
for sure.
And also you've got the passion and drive to succeed because it depends on you, or mouths don't get fed, which includes your own.
Right. Hey, there's a lot on the
There's
line.
a lot more desperation there. So it's interesting because obviously you work in the corporate world and within reason you're reasonably satisfied the paycheck's going to turn up next week or the next fortnight, or you hope. Yeah. But still, even in that corporate space, you're only as good as the last gig, right?
That's
you're only as good as the last contract, and so it's easy for these people on the other end of this to say, well, that's all well and good for corporate, and you've got sales forces and sales teams, but it ain't that simple.
Well, it's funny because when we're bringing people on board into our big, large corporation, one of the things that we're looking for, we find that people that are most successful are those who have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
They're the ones that want to be able to, they treat this like it's their own business, like it's their ground floor and they're, working out of their basement. Although they might not be. Those are the people that we see that are most successful at this and using these techniques. Those are the people that separate themselves from the average people.
Yeah. Wow, that's fantastic. So we've talked about, and we can do another session on asking questions and that sort of thing because I think that's really important. And that's just a coaching thing. That's more than just sales, right? I mean, understanding anybody. I'm a leadership coach and a business coach. So if I don't take time to ask questions and understand my client, well, I'll never know what's really wrong with him or what's going on.
For sure.
But then, okay, so you're armed with all the information that you need. Well, now it's time to, it's kind of Action Jackson, isn't it?
And that's the big differentiator. It's the people that are successful. If they're going to act and serve as a true consultant or a partner, they are going to spend, a quality amount of time of doing a discovery and asking those questions, which we can't get into in another session.
Yeah.
But it's that work that they do once they take that information back and they digest it and they actually put together a customized plan, very specific to that specific client needs. It's when you come back where you actually kind of take control of the conversation, and you talk in a way where you're pure and confident that you have the solutions based on the prior meeting that you have. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to do your best to to repeat what you identified as the issues were initially, and you're going to have very specific, very direct plans and realistic plans in place.
And you talked about being pure and confident. One of the things we discussed in the car on the way in is you're also pure and confident to say, you know what, this may not be for us.
Right.
And to know how to pick and okay, if you can't service that client, well, perhaps you shouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
Or if they don't fit your values, or they're not someone you should be doing business with. And the problem with a lot of the little guys is they've got to go after the next client just for the dollar.
Right. And the big thing people need to remember is that it's okay to say no to business. Obviously, people, when they've got somebody in front of them, they're like, I've got you. I've got you in front of me, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make this work. There might be times where you go in and you do a discovery and you come back to do your planning session before you go out for that second follow-up meeting, and you just determine this is not going to work. And I'll tell you what, that's going to benefit you, because somewhere down the road there may be a time and place where that person will come back to you, or you may be able to go back to them with a solution.
So what do you think about, because I know that particularly in the sales world, sales guys can get pretty excited about the products they have and things that, assuming they've done the right things, they've asked the questions, they've gone back, but they've overpromised. And we see this happening a lot in sales. I don't know if in your business, but
no, we'll see it as well. Sure, I think that's just a common thread among people that are responsible for landing new business. There is a level of excitement. Make no mistake, there's a lot of pressure on us because, especially in that small business where we do have to bring home the bacon. We have to get the wins, and we have to almost extend ourselves to go as far as we can to bring in new business. The big thing that we need to remember at this point is that there is somebody that we can go after next. And part of the process and part of the whole sales process as a whole is to continually work in your pipeline.
Nice.